Angielski w pracy z humorem, Kasia Sielicka.
Lesson 11, 2021. How your brain is stopping you from learning English. Da-dum. The inspiration for this video came from my last class with Paweł. Lekcja. My last class with Paweł, it was last Friday. And Paweł complained to me that no matter how much he learned English words, he could never remember them later. Now, a different teacher might have thought that Paweł is lazy and they would have advised him to just study harder. Another teacher could have thought that he's just lying in the first place and he just should start studying more. Studying? Uczenie się. Studying. And that problem was also visible when I asked Paweł a question. So whenever I asked him a question, zawsze kiedy, whenever I asked him a question, he never gives me a straight answer. A straight answer? Krótka, zwięzła odpowiedź. He just never gives me a straight answer. Instead, he starts in the middle of the story, then he starts talking about a totally different topic, then he comes back to the middle of the story. I never hear the beginning of the story or the end of the story or how it relates to me, and then Paweł gets lost and asks me to repeat the question. So basically it's total chaos and it's my idea of hell. But this just shows that Paweł is different. Yeah? His inability to learn English words, brak zdolności to, inability to learn English words came from his brain. That wasn't his fault, that was the fault of his brain. Our brains are divided into, are divided into two halves. Or two hemispheres. Hemispheres, półkule. Just like the Earth has the north hemisphere and the south hemisphere, your brain has the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. Sometimes they work in balance, in cooperation, but very often one of them is stronger, more active, one of them dominates. So let me tell you briefly about the two hemispheres and what it means for your learning English and for poor Paweł. The left hemisphere is responsible for logical reasoning. Reasoning? Rozumowanie. So we have logical reasoning here. We also have linear thinking. Linowe. We have language skills in here. Two language areas which are responsible for making language and understanding language are in this part of the brain. In me, this part dominates very strongly. I love learning from lists. I love learning from bullet points. Wypunktowane listy. Bullet points. I am like 100% left brain hemisphere dominant. Yeah, that's the strongest dominance you will ever get in a person. On the contrary, the right brain hemisphere is more creative and spatial. Spatial? Przestrzenna. It's more spatial. And it houses imagination and feelings. Mieści w sobie. It houses imagination and feelings. For Paweł, this right brain is much more active. I think he's 100% right brain hemisphere dominant. So he's more intuitive, less logical, and he just can't learn from lists of words. There is no way he'll learn from them because, that part of his brain is not helping. So he needs something more artistic and intuitive, intuicyjne. For example, a mind map. A mind map, mapa myśli. I have here two illustrations for you of these brain differences, and incidentally, tak się składa, że these two illustrations also show you the differences between the two brain hemisphere dominances. So this picture, this picture is made in the style of the right brain hemisphere, yeah? So this for me is total chaos and a mess. A mess, bałagan. It's a mess for me. There are so many pictures, colors, ideas. Where is the organization? Like, where do I start? Where do I finish? How do I go? I need a path to follow. I don't have a path here. So this illustration is a nightmare, koszmar, a nightmare for my dominant left brain hemisphere. And it makes me panic. Quite literally. Dosłownie, literally. When I see it, I want to run away. So, on the contrary, przeciwnie, on the contrary, this illustration, it shows you the differences between the two brain parts, but it was made by a left hemisphere dominant person. And this I love, yeah? It's more organized, with just 2 colors, more symmetrical, and neat. Schludna. It's more neat, yeah? It's heaven for me, but it's hell for Paweł, yeah? So, Paweł's brain was stopping him from learning English the way most people learn languages. But he has some other ways, and he knows about them, and he uses them, and now he works with his brain and not against it. If you want to find out which brain hemisphere is dominant with you, just Google brain hemisphere dominance test and you get it. And I'll be really happy to find out what kind of learner you are. And then, after you know how you should learn English and other languages and basically everything else, just find a way of learning English that works with your brain and not against it. And one of the things you might try are my courses, because I know that there are 2 different brain hemispheres active. So in my courses, in my video, audio and text courses of English, I have taken care of everything and everyone. So if you're brain hemisphere dominant, you will find clear explanations, you will have lists, you will have everything logically and clearly explained because it was made by me. Yeah, and me, 100% left brain, so yeah. So you have it. And if you're right brain hemisphere dominant, I've also taken care of you because I love you also, even though you're different. And there are lots of illustrations, lots of funny stories for context, and also flashcards in a mobile app. Flashcards? Fiszki, yeah? Flashcards to help you revise in this more spatial, moving way, yeah? So you'll find the link to all these amazing courses to help you learn with your brain and not against it in the episode description.
Kasia Sielicka, doktor filologii angielskiej, angielski w pracy z humorem. www.angielskizhumorem.pl